Welcome to the Reach Podcast. In this episode, we're going to explore the complex and thought-provoking topic of willful sin. In this episode, we'll delve into a few reasons behind this behavior, examining various perspectives and shedding light on the underlying factors that contribute to willful disobedience. So whether you're seeking answers or contemplating your own experiences, or you're just simply curious about the intricacies of human behavior, then this is an episode you don't want to miss. Join us on this enlightening journey as we explore the reasons behind willful sin against God. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? I want to welcome you to our podcast today. For those who are listening, we're thankful for your listening ear. And for those who are watching, we're thankful for your watching eye. We desire to just simply just talk to you today. And really, our whole intent is just for you to be like a fly on the wall in the conversation that me and my wife would have. That we're just going to talk about a subject each and every single week. No script, no notes, no nothing. Yeah. We're just going to talk.
Or the fly that's flying around us right now.
Yeah. Don't mind the fly that's in the room that we just cannot kill. Mm-hmm. Don't mind him.
It's symbolic to you guys.
Yeah. That's definitely, we got a fly on the wall up in this joint. That, for real. But how you feeling?
I am feeling good. I am so tired, but I'm good.
I can feel that. I can definitely feel that.
Oh, yes. I had a long day. It was a good day, but long and rewarding, fruitful, but long. Yes.
Okay.
How about you? How you doing?
I'm doing all right. Just like you said, a little tired. Yes. Sometimes you get a little tired, and a brother can feel a little tiredness resting upon him, but it's all good. We can keep it going. Keep it rolling. It ain't no thing. It ain't no thing. But we want to get right into our podcast. And we want to talk about a subject that is, it can be generic or general, but we're just going to talk about it.
Yeah.
And just see where it goes. We don't have any notes or anything like that. We're just going to talk about the subject. And the subject that I want to kind of introduce to us both is the idea of sin, but not just simply sin. All right. We're talking about, something is wrong. You're convicted that it's wrong. You realize, what, I probably shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
But yet and still, you do it anyways. And it's a habitual doing. I'm not talking about an occasional falling in. It's like, this thing is wrong, but you just gonna do it. Like you just gonna hop into it. Like you're just gonna do it. When it comes, you just gonna do it. I'm talking about that type of sin. Like, we want to help not only others but ourselves even to understand why. Why do we what am I trying to say? Why do we do what we do?
Yeah.
Why do we, even after knowing something is wrong, you still just do it anyways? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think it just goes back to our nature. Our sinful nature, who we are. We're just naturally bent towards sin. Our natural inclination is to do wrong. I mean, I think about this, like some people will be like, I don't know how you write with your left hand. I mean, it's just so natural.
Yeah.
That's natural. Like for you, it's not natural to write with your left hand.
Nope.
But it's extremely natural for me to write with my left hand. And that's the same, like sin is our nature. And it's so it's so easy. You don't have to think too hard. You don't have to really do too much deliberation to sin. It's like it's something just a part of you. From your mother's womb, you came out to this world, and we sin. So it's our human nature. It's because of our falling nature,
Mm-hmm.
and we are bent towards it. We like it. It's very easy. It's enjoyable. It gives some kind of satisfaction
Yeah.
and pleasure, but it's just something that we don't have to you don't have to fight.
Yeah.
Fighting fighting against it, that can be challenging. So
Yeah.
so just in a just a it's just really easy. It's just something apart, so a part of us. It's like,
Yeah,
what
you,
is it?
you you mentioned a word that
Yeah.
was coming to my mind,
Yeah.
and you mentioned the word pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe that one of the reasons, again, not saying this is the only reason, but
Mm-hmm.
something that we have to consider, and is that, I mean, we have not drained the pleasure of it yet.
Mm-hmm.
That the pleasure, uh, the pleasure of it is still there. We're still getting pleasure out of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it just, you just not, you're not willing to give it up.
Yeah.
You can be convicted
Mm.
and still want to do wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
like you can be convicted and know this is wrong,
Mm-hmm.
but you still want to do it. That the conviction of it is not enough. And and look, don't even think, just because you even may know you might be lost
Mm.
for doing it,
Yeah.
that is not going to stop you.
No.
Even that don't stop you.
Oh.
Like again, it kind of connects to what you're saying about the flesh.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it does connect, kind of, it does connect to what you're saying about the flesh and about the nature of man, and how, I mean, we naturally just want to do wrong. But um yeah, I think the pleasure of it is just like we still desire and love and covet and are experiencing the pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, it's just difficult to quit, man.
Yeah.
It's difficult to stop. And connected with that for me is like is the love of the thing as well.
Yeah.
That connected with the pleasure is a love for
Mm-hmm.
the thing as well.
Yeah.
And you have to be separated from something that has been a lifelong buddy in certain situations,
Mm-hmm.
or something that has just really been there
Mm-hmm.
in your life, and to just completely drop that thing off, um especially when you have affection towards it,
Yeah.
man, that's a hard thing to do,
Yeah,
man.
you don't know how to live without it. Like
Yeah.
you've lived so long in that way. How could you give it up? And
Yeah.
just the pleasure of it, and the familiarity of it.
Yeah.
Like you really know.
Yeah.
You only know yourself with that.
Yeah.
You only
Yeah.
know your experience and that.
Yeah.
When you think about your characteristics, your mood, your tendencies, the things you've done in life, it's
Mm.
connected to many things that are wrong and
Mhm.
may have been not so good. I mean, like just for me, like I could just say, being a Caribbean person, something that I had to realize, like that just culturally, the way we speak to each other can
Mm.
be like really, really harsh, and it really we don't really mean it like in any way. It's just the way we speak. It can
Mm.
be very rough. The words could come out in a way that is just like not kind, and also just the tone, the attitude, the facial expressions all comes with it. But like to say separate yourself from it, what is that? Like
Yeah.
that's all I know. The good times, the funny times, the bad times, the happy times, the sad times, all that like mixed in with the emotions, the facials, the words,
Yeah.
everything. Like it's a part of of me and culture and just everything I pretty much you can think of. Like when you had an experience with something that is attached to it, and it's like you have a whole language with emotions and communication. So it makes me really like see like, oh man, like how do you detach almost
Yeah.
in every aspect? Like yeah, I could kind of see how you can live without some things, but oh
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That's the familiarity of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is absolutely something I consider, and connected, and in connected with connection with that,
Mm-hmm.
something that I think as well is just, I mean, yeah, sometimes the sin itself, um it's a part of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like the sin
Yeah.
helps define you.
Yeah.
Like the sin is it's like for you to lose the sin means you're losing yourself or a part of
Yeah.
yourself.
Yeah.
And just, an example that comes to my mind when I think about it is the example of, someone that is a social drinker. Let's call them a social drinker. And they love to get tipsy at parties, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get-togethers, and when they get tipsy, they're like the life of the party, and they're known to be this, charming guy, or usually a guy, but or just this charming individual, someone that you want to be around, a life of the party, has all the jokes. They're just like you just you used to become appeal, you become appealing, and to tell someone, oh man, you got to give that up though. Like that could be hard, man.
Yeah.
Like that can be very difficult. That you're talking about, like that thing is a part of me.
Yeah.
Like for me, I never was a life of the party. I'm an introvert, always been an introvert. But one thing, man, that when I used to smoke weed, one of the things that one of the things that made me really like fall in love with smoking weed, it was how, at least I perceived, let me say it like that, how my ability to talk to the women enhanced when I was high. Like, you now you're talking about like where I'm, when I'm blowed up, like I'm sitting over here talking to women, and in the middle of me talking to them, they're like, man, you got game. They're like marveling at the stuff I'm saying, and so that make you feel some type of way. But man, but I'm talking about I got to give that up though. Now, in my situation, I had drained the pleasure of it already. The pleasure was not the same. Like I was at the end of my line when it was time for me to quit smoking. But my point is that I can see how someone could be a part of something.
Yeah.
That it becomes a part of them.
Yeah.
It maybe they might think it even enhances them or something, but it just becomes a part of them and then their identity. And then to take that thing away or to live without it, man, that's a scary thing to live without.
That is so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we all can attest to some type of pleasure, some type of sin, something that just like so ingrained in us that like we give up some stuff. Like God has delivered us from things.
Yeah.
But like those other things.
Yeah.
Like when we don't have that experience where we're like, yeah, like I totally get it. Like that was all in the past. Everyone has some type of stronghold or have been in some type of stronghold that got them in that way. So I know like that experience and that what you're saying is actually something that like, yeah, I can relate. I know a lot of you guys can relate to.
Yeah.
So that is a really good point to think about temptation, just in the basis of like, why do we sin? Why do we give into it? Why is this a reoccurring thing? Why is it not completely gone?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's so.
Yeah, bro. Yeah. I think that's something, and something else, man, that I think we just, I think we underestimate, or maybe even never even considered. I don't know. And that's just that some of us, many of us, maybe even all of us, that we have triggers, man.
Yeah.
Like we have certain things that trigger responses. That trigger desires, even. Yeah. That make certain things more tempting because of certain circumstances that may have happened before, that now as a result, this thing becomes it becomes more tempting, or something that I may want to do more than what I would have wanted to do before the circumstances or the trigger. And I think we have to identify our triggers, man. Because if you like, there is a real devil, and the real devil that is out there, he knows what makes us tick. Right? He knows our past experiences. He knows all of our bondage and baggage. He knows all of it. He knows everything. He knows the makeup of it. The only person that knows us better is God. God, because God created us. He knows us on the inside. Satan only has a perception of what he can see, what he has seen in our behavior. He's a master psychologist. He just can like analyze human behavior and is like spot on with his assessment. But God really knows us on the inside. But again, because the devil knows us so well, and he knows our experiences, man, he knows that, okay, this, that, and the other, and it's going to cause them to think this way. It's going to cause them to feel this way, and they'll be more likely to deal with X, Y, and Z, or to do X, Y, and Z.
I was just thinking about it, like, childhood trauma is definitely something to play and really don't sleep on. The fact that, like, God, like you say, Satan knows. And he not only just knows like your triggers, he knows your mom, your dad, your cousin, your sister. He knows your generational problems. And so if like I got your mom and dad, they did not break the bondage. They did not set it up for you to be able to be freed from this. They have given in time and time again. I know your parents. You come from that same seed. They did not give you the tools nor the spirit nor the know-how how to actually overcome these things. So yeah, like I've been getting your parents forever. Like who are you for me to not get? And then also just like because of childhood trauma, like things that happen to you, and Satan knows that if I get you as a child, if I mess you up with things that seemingly like, what are you really stuck on that? Seemingly, because a child's brain and their comprehension and their ability to see, like, okay, wait, this is really not how it goes. Like they really don't realize like when this happened, that is not the reason. They don't process the reason why things happen correctly because they're a child. Like how could you possibly think that they're supposed to process it like an adult would with the capability to really reason out what happened? So a bunch of things happen to people as a young child, and it carries on to insecurities and to fears and doubts and struggles because they had some circumstance happen to them, some experience happen that messed them up, that turned them in this way, that made those temptations stronger for that person that is not even stronger for the other. Because they didn't have that experience, but you did. But so step by step, like, okay, I had this experience, so it caused me to lean in that direction. So this temptation is really strong because these circumstances happen, and now I am in this, and now it's years in this, and it's like, what? Give it up now? Like all these years I've been living like this, and you're saying now, like I'm supposed to like let go? That sounds good in theory, but like.
And you said something as well that I think really has to be considered, is that some of these things that we're dealing with, that they're generational. Like this is like deep-seated DNA stuff. And not only deep-seated DNA, but then I personally believe that there has been a spirit attached to these behaviors. Or spirits attached to these behaviors, and I mean, and they're just there to try to catch you up. So, I think also really understanding the DNA that you have, and this is something that can be a problem especially in the Black community, is that, man, folk often in the Black, at least in generations prior. Man, these folk don't be telling nothing. They just be keeping stuff in secret and don't even be saying nothing. And it's like, hold on, bro. Like you got some valuable information that I might need to know that help me understand myself and help me to understand why X, Y, and Z is, in my life, and why I have certain desires and things I want to do. We have to understand the makeup of mankind, that there are cultivated tendencies towards evil, but then there are hereditary tendencies towards evil, and many times, man, like it's connected with your nature, but it's also connected with your family history as well. That the nature is already wants to sin, but your family history has ingrained certain behaviors in you. And man, when you're talking about like giving something up, man, it's deeper than just you being convicted of that it's wrong. Gee, like you can't even do it because you have multiple things working against you.
And I was thinking, like you were saying, things like your family are not just talking, and then even so, like they don't talk to the children about it, but people are like hooking up, getting married, or having children with with individuals that they didn't even talk about. Like, so what's about your family history? Like, what about what's going on with you? What are the struggles that you're really struggling with, and what are the struggles that like your family is struggling with? And you don't realize that, man, you compare two people up with two terrible DNAs.
I know,
and
boy.
Then this child comes into this devil, so to speak, or this terrible child that you have here, or you're like, why is this child like that? Like, do you know like what you paired with? Like that was a combination for disaster. That was a bomb waiting to blow up. But bro, you're not even like we rush into relationships. We rush into, and not even relationships. We come together with people, and you don't even know that person. So you bring children into this world, and you're like,
now when you say come, you mean sex?
Yes, right? Okay, I'm just saying come together in the Bible term.
Sexing folk. That
yes, but yes. And you don't even realize like what you just put to, like what you just created. And you're like wondering why your child's like that. So
yeah, bro. And that's something that, I mean, the family history is important.
It is,
even when it comes to this subject matter in which we're talking about, just why you do what you do, why you can't give up certain sin or sins. Again, it is because there has been a stronghold placed in this family, and it is a stronghold, and the type of effort that you'd have to use to get past it is going to be greater than you just can't be casual with it. Let me just say it like that. Anything else that comes to your mind about like what, why when being convicted is just still not enough to give up sin or certain sin? Anything else?
Well, I mean, there's many things that like can come together. Why? Like why is this happening? But for me, I pretty much think like that's the main thoughts that come to my mind for now.
I guess for me, another thing that comes to my mind is that I also don't think I think sometimes we underestimate the deceptiveness of the sins in which we commit. And this is what I mean, so let's say you're a guy. I guess this goes both ways nowadays, but let's just say you're a guy, and you might be a good looking guy, and you got a little macho machismo going, maybe a little cash in your pocket or whatever, and though you have all those things, and you are a ladies' man, you got a new one every other month, if not every month, if not every week.
Every month is too long.
You just out there doing your thing, and the thing is that all that is like from a man's position, like you the man, like you got money, you got good looks, and you got women. Like from a man's position. Now, let me say from a natural man's position. Let me say it like that. From a natural man's position, you got it going on. Like that's, I mean, you're at the pinnacle. If you can say, you have those things. But the thing is that even while you got that cash, even while you got the good looks, even while you are, sleeping with a chick every, other who knows night. I mean, even though that might be the case, ultimately, like you will always feel the emptiness, man. Ultimately, like you will get to a point to where you're empty, or you feel not fulfilled in what you're doing. And this is where I say sin can be deceptive. Is that when you start to sense and feel those type of things, that like you keep on trying to do the same behaviors that did bring the excitement, that did bring the fulfillment, that did bring the happiness or whatever. You keep on trying to do that because you think like you will score, or you will, like I'll just sum it up like this. It's like the person that takes that first hit of the crack pipe. They take that first pull, they gone, boy. They got that first real high, and bro, they gone. And the thing is that you spend the rest of your life chasing that experience, like that euphoric, like I'm not trying to make this about me and my drug use, but bro, like I remember when I used, it wasn't the first time I used cocaine, but it was the third time I had used it, and man, bro, this time was like on a whole nother level. This time it was crazy. And I knew at that moment, though, the Lord, I now know it was the Lord. I knew at that moment that the devil was trying to get me with this thing. I knew it. And I'm like, no. And I quit. I never used this stuff ever again after that time. But my point is this, is that, but many people, though, they don't wise up like that. They still think that if I continue on and do this thing, I am going to get and the fulfillment, the happiness, the joy that this thing has brought me for years. That I just got to keep, just keep doing my thing, and the next time it's going to be the thing that I think I want it to be. Yeah. And ultimately, it's all a lie.
And as you were talking, it just came to my mind. Just the reality that we don't realize that we're in a spiritual warfare. We're in a battle, and any wise soldier in a battle will know that they have to have preparation before. Like they have to get prepared. They have to actually be physically ready. They have to know plan, strategy. Like we don't realize, like, we're not counting the cost. Like when you sign up to say, I'm in the Lord's army, I'm in the Lord's side, that there is now a different, like before you on the team, like you didn't have to fight anything. What fight? What?
Know, what was the fight?
There was no fight.
There was no fight.
You're losing. Like you just losing, and losing was okay. Like it was never like oh man. It's like what? You're losing, and that was okay, because So now you signed up for this. Yeah. Now if you're signed up for this, you don't realize like okay, this is a fight. This is a battle. You have to have on the whole armor of God. You have to actually come up with a game plan. So one of the reasons why many people don't like overcome, realize, and why they keep falling is because they just doing the same thing. It's the same cycle and expecting a different result. Yep. You're doing the same thing you were doing in the world, and you expect a different result because you're like in Christ now. Like, okay, like I'm a Christian now, so it shouldn't have the same result if I do the same thing. Yeah. Like, no, like you should actually do different things. Now you're not realizing that the sword of the Spirit is so important. Like you have to be in the word, not just reading the word, but like letting the word get into you. And it will work out of you, and realizing that prayer, the scriptures, is something that is like a part of your fight, your battle tools, and you're like immersed in it. So any temptation comes, you're not just giving in, you're going to the word, you're quoting scripture, you're praying, you're connecting back to God instead of giving in to that feeling, that temptation. So one of the things I'm just really seeing is that like temptation, it's always going to be there. Temptation is not a sin, but you, before temptation comes, before you having all this feeling, like that's not the time to get the game plan. Like you don't go out in the field and try to fight and then think of like, oh, this is the plan we're gonna have. Like you discussed that plan way before getting out on the field. You understand the strategies. Like you're not just coming out there like, wait, what are we doing? Talking to them like, Liz, what are we doing? Oh, really? Wait, do this. No, I think this is better. Like, no, you know what you're up against. You know what you've been falling into before. You know how the devil been getting you. So you, with the Lord and in the word and in prayer, come up with a game plan. So if it's whatever temptation it is for you, you know that like this is the steps that I have to take to actually overcome these.
Yeah, and you said something that I think is one of the reasons why we just be following into the stuff, and you can know it, but you still don't practice the right thing. It is because we do not pray enough. It is just simply that principle right there of us not really praying. Like, I get just an example. So, I mean, hey, let's say that you have a problem and the temptation is coming and the problem is there. Like, how many, I mean, sometimes, yes, you may pray, but no. But what about like really praying, bro? Like your life depending on it, like your soul depending on it, because it does depend on it. And I think many of us, we just not really praying enough. We're not really laying ourselves before the altar, or I'll even add to that, we're not even in touch with ourselves enough to know of how to effectively pray and lay ourselves on the altar. We're not even in tune with who we are and all the weaknesses and so on and so forth. But yeah, I think prayer is a lack of prayer is a big reason why believers and even non-believers fail, because they're not praying. We're not praying. We just running around here living. And to your point, no, but this is a spiritual war. There is a battle, and you have to constantly be on guard, and you have to constantly be ready to fight. And one of the ways we fight, the place we get our strength is in prayer.
Yeah, prayer is power, and we don't realize the power that we're tapping into. And sometimes, like, this thing don't come out by prayer and fasting.
I was just about to bring that up, bro.
Like, you need to spend like time with God, agonizing for this, like, to be able to be delivered. Like, you think like you just came into this in 2 days, or it just happened. No. Like, the time that you've been in this, like, you so in bondage in this thing that you don't realize that the prayer life that you have to have for that just one particular thing, it has to be different than just, oh yeah, I pray in the morning. Like, I say my grace.
No.
Like, no. And then even in the temptation, like, stop and like fall on your knees and weep before the poor. Like, God, I need your strength. I need your help. Instead of giving in and entertaining that temptation, you are in posture of prayer, and you're really like just seeking God prior to and in it, all throughout it, after the whole thing. Just like really immerse yourself in prayer. Is good.
And to that point, with prayer, I was going to go to the same verse you went through, where Jesus says that this kind cometh out by prayer but by prayer and by fasting. Like that's something that we also don't even utilize enough. Fasting, I think if you're not victorious in a certain position or a certain sin, if you're becoming the sin's whooping boy, and it's always whooping your tail and beating you up, that sometimes it is a result. I didn't say every time, but sometimes it can be a result of the effort that you're putting in to resist and to gain access to the strength and the power of God to be able to resist. And one of the things that we can do to really help with that is by fasting. And this is one practical principle that you can get from fasting. And one practical principle I believe that you can get from fasting is that when you're fasting, you're denying yourself. You're denying the flesh. You're actively crucifying the flesh. That the same passion that you have for appetite, for your food and for your sustenance and for drink, so on and so forth, that it is eerily similar to the same passion that you have when it comes to sin. Like, and so when you are gaining dominion, or you're exercising power, or you're beating
you're putting your body under
into subjection, as Paul says, that when you're doing that like it helps you from a physical standpoint. It helps you from a spiritual standpoint. And it helps you to be able to resist better and to gain spiritual muscles to be able to fight and to resist, because you're actively working out a principle of denying yourself. And I think sometimes, man, we just don't use these principles enough. Talking about we want victory, you got to use the principles that are there.
We're like an obese, overweight person spiritually. We don't have the mental and the physical and the spiritual, like, to just push yourself, and you're just not doing anything, and you're just there and fostering, and it's like, okay, now I have to work out, and now I have to exercise these things, but it
Yeah.
was not cultivated, and now you're so far, now you have to catch up to get to the point where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
But it is possible, like any person you see, like I was this and now I'm there, like it is possible to lose, and it's possible to gain, and it's
Yeah.
possible to gain victory. It's possible to lose the weight, and it's possible to gain that victory
Yeah.
over. So like when we think about how temptation works and how it is similar every time, it's not that, like, it's really not rocket science how we fall into sin.
No.
And but yet we can actually experience victory,
Yeah.
and yet we can really logically, with God's help and with prayer and the word, come up with ways specifically for us. Each person has different triggers, different things, and God is going to tailor make that for you when you seek him. Like
Yeah.
if you do not seek him, you're like, I don't know what to do. No, you do. You can know what to do. You can overcome. You can actually fight this. So yeah, like with some of the things, like we're even discouraged before we even tried, or we don't even like, we're not convicted and on the importance of fighting. We're not convicted on the importance of how God can help you through this, and that you don't have to live like this all the time
Yeah.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I believe that's right. Now, what would you say to someone? Or I'll just say it like this. What are some solutions
Mm-hmm.
that you could give, some help, some guidance for
Yeah.
somebody that's like, oh man, I just keep falling into this thing, so I just keep struggling, blah blah blah. Like, what are some words of guidance or encouragement or help that you can give somebody
Mm-hmm.
that is like, man, this is me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we kind of touched on prayer and
Yeah.
and really having the word to be able to combat temptation, but the first step, I feel like you have to face who you are, like do
Mm-hmm.
some real self-reflection, like spend some time recounting your life and
Mm-hmm.
sitting back for a minute, writing it out, like really seeing like where what led you to this point.
Yeah.
So you really go back into as far back as you can go and
Mm-hmm.
really analyze what led you to here. Like you didn't just show up with this extreme like pitfall
Yeah.
of sin. You didn't show up with just this mountain of problems and like I don't know, like you can know. So first it's like really being able to sit and really reflect and allow God to really break down where this all came from, and then as God is like convict, because he wants to undo these things as well. He wants that experience for you.
Absolutely.
So starting with self-reflection, prayer, and just like really getting to the point, to root cause of why these things happen. When like we have some weeds that we're gonna be pulling out maybe
Yeah.
tomorrow,
Yeah.
and I know like if you pull just like partially pull it out, the roots are still there, and it's gonna spring up even faster. But if you pull it by the root, it definitely is. You're gonna really get rid of that particular thing. So really get into the root cause of why.
Yeah.
So the first thing is like really like sit back and get into the root cause. That's what first for me.
Yeah. I guess the first thing that comes to my mind, we talked about a few of them just already, but it's just kind of like a recap of some of these principles. And the first one, it is to really agonize with God in prayer over
Mm-hmm.
these things, like really agonize with Him in prayer,
Mm-hmm.
and really petition Him for strength, for transformation, for a change of desire.
Yeah.
Like you have to really petition Him for these things. Like lay yourself, lay yourself at the, not even lay, like put yourself to the stretch, as it were. Really stretch yourself out in faith and in dependence.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess that's where I'm numero uno right now.
Yeah,
It's like,
okay.
bro, like coming to God in a real serious way in prayer.
Yeah.
Like whatever effort you may have been giving before, really be real with yourself and just analyze,
Yeah.
is this really been a real
I
effort?
know.
Have I really truly tried?
Yes.
Now again, there may be some folk that say, man, I really, really tried, and they're sincere, maybe even of that. But I would venture out that many of us, we can say that we've tried, but the trying has not been, let's just be real, an adequate trying.
Yeah.
So I think we got to really up the ante. If we're falling into continual sin and we're falling into things, again, just willful sin, if that's our issue, that, man, we have to up the ante in prayer. Again, add some fasting in that thing. Like, bro, like really put forth an effort.
Yeah.
To be victorious. Like, even when I think about scriptures that talk about these things, like James 4:7, it uses the term resist.
Yeah.
I mean, bro, like that's a practical thing. You got to resist, homie. Like straight. You just got to resist. Also, what does Jesus says? If you come after him, and you take up your cross daily and deny. Like, there was another principle.
Yeah.
Deny yourself. Also, in Colossians 3, Paul there says, mortify the deeds of the flesh. Like that's, I mean, that is destroy. That's what the word mortify means. Like, and this is like when I think of this type of death, as you mentioned, bro, like this is like a Friday the 13th movie. Like, this is like or even better yet, what was
I wouldn't know.
Nightmare on Elm Street. Let me go. I'm going back in the day on that one. I know.
I don't know any of
but
those.
but the reason why I'm saying that's what this is because you had Friday the 13th 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the last one that came was like 10 or so. May even be more than that, bro. I don't even know, bro. But this is my point. Jason Voorhees dies at the end of every movie, or as you would think, it's over with. Oh, he's finally gone. Yeah. But somehow, some way, Jason Voorhees is back once again.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that our flesh is just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be successful one day. Mortify the deeds. You destroyed it. Woo. But gee, that's just that one day, though, bro.
Yeah.
That might be that 1 week. That might be that 1 month, bro.
Yeah.
Maybe you might even make it through a year, bro. But man, like, understand that homie gonna keep coming back, man.
I know. Yeah, you're so right. That is so funny. And like I was just thinking about, you have to starve it. You have to really, like, you have to kill it, but like really, you have to really starve it. And you cannot keep feeding it. You think it's gonna die if you keep feeding it? No, it ain't.
Yeah.
It's not gonna die if you keep feeding it. You have to starve it.
It's gonna be alive and kicking, man.
Yes. Starve it, kill it. Whatever you gotta do to get rid of it.
Yeah.
It's definitely something you got to do. You're just giving too much attention, you're giving too much thought, and you're actually just giving into it. So like starve, kill, deny, resist. You have to fight.
Yeah, man.
And for me, I feel like sometimes we feel like we're an island. We're just alone in this. And no, you shouldn't. One of the biggest help that could be that people are maybe not utilizing is community.
Accountability.
I was going to say,
accountability partners are very good.
Being able to get around people or person that is spiritual, that has maybe even struggled the same things and can give you advice, help, and really walk you through and help you and pray with you and talk you through it. Like, you really need that one-on-one or a group counselor or guidance and that accountability that you can call up at that time. Like, listen, if you're going through something, you can call me and pray.
Yeah.
Like, we can pray about it. And I'm going to check on you and be like, how you doing?
Yeah.
Like, how is it going? How is that? Like, are you denying yourself? I could tell. Like, you could be like, yeah, I'm doing good. And you've been around the bush. No. Yeah. You're not really doing good.
Yeah.
You need someone to call you out on it and be there for you. Like, not just like, I prayed with them, and you just move on, and like, you don't really ask because it's a touchy subject, so you don't really want to talk about it. No. You really need accountability partners. Yeah. You really need someone. And if you're married, like, don't sleep on your spouse.
Yeah.
Like, do not sleep on the fact that your spouse is there for you. Like, you married to that person, and then you can actually have that. If you feel like I can't well, no, develop that relationship with that person, like that you can have that accountability. You need to talk about it. You need to bring it to the light, whatever you're going through, that secret closet stuff that you're dealing with. No, so what if you look bad? You've been doing bad.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, okay, face it. Yeah, you look bad. Yeah, you
Yeah.
did some bad stuff. You are bad. Yeah, but who do you need? A savior, and he is there for you. And your partner, yeah, oh man, he might leave you, whatever it may turn out to. You need to face it head on. So yeah, like having that accountability, having that partner, having someone, anyone, like pray. If you're like, I don't have anyone, pray God will lead you to someone in some way, some shape, to be able to help in that area.
Now, and now that kind of leads me to I don't want to digress too much, but that leads me to something that's like spiritual people.
Yeah.
Even the church, I would even submit. They need to have spaces or places where individuals can feel comfortable. To feel like they can confess and can be honest about a battle they are losing, that they
without judgment,
without any type of censor necessarily. Well, look, now don't get me wrong. Now, if you're in a position and you're doing some foolishness, then I think you need to be censored, all right?
But just feel comfortable. That's the point.
But the thing is just really, I guess, just having places and opportunities just to be able to just say, just talk and just like, look, bro, like this is what it is. Like I'm X, Y, and Z, and where somebody can pray for them, pray with them, hopefully give them some type of counsel, action steps, or whatever. Like that's something that we do need as a church. We need to be able to help individuals navigate through, especially some of these hardcore battles now, man. The generation that we live in right now, bro, you can get caught up in some stuff and you're gonna be caught up in it until you die. Like, it is crazy. So we want to consider that. We want to consider the like just the fact that we do need community in helping to gain
like
victory.
you were saying, just a quick point that we need groups and community, because not just for like the obvious, like alcohol and drugs, like like we do need spaces for that in church, but there are other things that people are dealing with that need attention, and it needs like that place and that space for that. So that's one thing for sure.
I guess one last thing that I would bring up is and we talked about it earlier. Again, is knowing your triggers. Or I guess going back to what you were saying, just really knowing yourself. Like really being in touch with yourself, being in touch with what are your triggers, what might trigger a certain behavior or a certain sin that reoccurs itself. Like look at how this thing has always happened. Like look, like survey what are the circumstances that leads to this thing, and I can almost guarantee you that you're going to find a pattern. You're going to find something that was consistently, or I'll say you'll find, I'll just leave it at a pattern. You'll find a pattern that consistently showed itself and presented itself, and it helped you to fall into those sins. Like I believe that. I definitely believe that.
Oh, well, I was just gonna say the last thing I'll say. Just there's many points that are coming to my mind, but the one thing I'm thinking about is getting a reconviction. If you're not a conviction on who Jesus is, bringing the light on what he has done for you, the death, the burial, the resurrection, his life, just like the whole thing, like reconvicted on the gospel, like getting like that foundation and that love for Jesus, and spending time in his word, learning of him, like growing in him, like being able to know him, the man Christ Jesus, like, and to know him is to love him, and just having that, being able to just have Jesus as the all in all, and you love him more than you would love that sin. So having that experience where you dive into the word, you get into prayer, and you really find and have that relationship with Jesus that will last. Because like we can do some good things. Like a lot of people can bring their body under subjection and get the mental fortitude to stop stuff. But if you do not have Christ in it and abiding and that love experience with him, it is not gonna last. Like you can do as much as you can do, but without Jesus in it, that Holy Spirit that you seek and you receive, you are not going to really fight that the temptation. So having that intimate relationship with Christ and really seeking and getting understanding and having a gospel experience will truly stay. Like if you see that, man, I'm falling, I think you need to spend thoughtful hour contemplating on the life of Christ each day. Like you need to spend time dwelling on Christ and what he has done. Now he has given you the power. So yeah, that's one thing I really see that it's needed is a reconviction or a conviction, a fresh, like of who Christ is and who he is for you and that experience with him and the gospel.
Amen. Very well said. We need to have a fresh experience with Christ through his gospel. I believe that will make a lot of difference for those of us who are attempting to live a life of righteousness. Well, that brings our podcast to a close. I hope you all have been blessed and edified in some way, shape, form, or fashion by just simply participating in our conversation. If you have been, like always, share it with your friends, with your family, even with your enemies, that they might receive the blessing as well. We'll see you in the near future. May God bless you and keep you. And we look forward to having you next time. God bless.
God bless.